a kid coming out of juvenile detention and getting back in education has always been a thing. We have parents calling all the time. Well, this school says they can come, but they can come 2 days a week. This school says they can't come at all. Well, this school still has the record from, it's all these barriers, all these things that plays a major part in absenteeism.
Welcome to THRIVEcast, a production of the Flint Center for Educational Excellence. My name is Dawn Hibbard, and I will be your host. Our topic today is chronic school absenteeism as it relates to students who have been involved in the juvenile justice system. I have with me Tadarius Lowe, Youth Mentor Specialist for Peckham, Inc., a nonprofit vocational rehabilitation organization that provides paid job training opportunities for people with disabilities and other barriers to employment. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Don.
I wanted to continue a previous conversation we had about absenteeism and focus on the academic barriers that young people face who have been in the juvenile justice system. Youth in the juvenile justice system face several academic barriers, including learning gaps, high rates of undiagnosed disabilities, and many of these youth have previously been suspended or expelled, and others have struggled with getting their academic credits transferred from one school to another or re-enrollment in a new or previous school. Mr. Lowe, in your work with students who have been adjudicated, what have you seen are the primary roadblocks for young people trying to complete their education?
Well, that's a very good question. I would say it had to be self-identity, not really knowing who they are, what they want out of life, and high expectations from those in the professional field of education. We have the students, we get them in a classroom or we have them to show up in a space and we give them these unclear expectations. You sit down, you do the work and you do these things, but I haven't had the foundation of just being able to follow simple directions. That's how I got to the juvenile justice system. And it becomes a challenge because the adults in the room, one, they may not understand it or where they're coming from. And two, our kids are in survival mode.
That's the pity of it. It almost sounds as if you're speaking directly to that undiagnosed disability, maybe a reading delay or difficulty with math or something. So they don't have the foundational skills. So they don't understand what they're being asked to do, or they can't keep up and they just shut down at a certain point. Especially
after having the experience of being brought into the justice system. Your freedom is taken away. You're following these rules and you're looked at as less than. And no one even dealt with those young behaviors when you were young and you did have the reading and you had the speech problem, all these things to where you're acting out and it's criminal behavior. And not getting it sooner than later. Because now when you get them on a one-on-one basis or a small group to say, hey, these are the group of kids who's coming through the justice system, let's put them in your mentoring program. And you get them and you say, hey, could you read this for me? Or hey, can you tell me what this is? And they don't know, or they're shy, or they seem angry. But it's not anger, it's me hiding what I don't know. And you're like, oh, this is an angry kid. No, this is a kid that didn't get the care, the nurture or support of whatever this disability may be. And that just leads up into absenteeism.
Yes, because you don't want to go to school.
You
don't want to go somewhere where you feel disenfranchised.
Yes, yeah. To where we're thinking, oh, they're kids and they're caught up in the gangs and they don't want to do this. And it's like, no, there's a deeper issue. They're not comfortable with speaking. They're not comfortable or confident in doing the work that you're providing or telling you that they struggle. Because on the juvenile justice side of things, you're tough. You have to show that you can do. You got to prove yourself where there's no safe space to land for them.
Yeah. Now, you've been a mentor for a while, and we've had a few conversations about some of your mentees. It just struck me that we're talking about students who felt disenfranchised in school. But I'm wondering, are there kids that you have run across that maybe they aren't so much disenfranchised, they are maybe angry, and maybe life has thrown them a lot of curveballs, and school is the least of their worries.
So we talk about survival mode. Having these young children from, I'll say the youngest I've ever had was a 13-year-old. What time are we done? What do you have to do? I have to get my little brother off the bus, and my mom's going to drop my sister off. And when they get home, I have to provide dinner. And then my cousin's going to come over, and I have to help with clean up the house, and I have to make sure everybody gets sleep. And it's like, whoa, you don't get to go home and be a kid.
Right.
You're doing adult things. You have to put these things in your schedule that like you should be able to just be youthful. And your survival mode to almost as a parent. I get up and I have to plan my day, make sure my kids get to school, make sure they eat, they do it. You have young children doing it on a daily. They're feeding themselves, they're getting up and they're locking the doors and they're making sure little brother and sister are getting off to and from school. And then you're asking them to go be successful. And so it's a lot at that young age.
Are those children more susceptible to the streets and the influences that you've been talking about?
Some
that need to belong
Yes,
somewhere else.
because the nurture and care at home isn't there. And so when I do come across someone who's showing me love and showing me that I belong to something, right, wrong, or indifferent, they do end up in these gangs. They do end up in these street communities where they feel a sense of belonging. And they go down this path that the reality of them, they don't want to. But this is a place where these folks are telling me, I got your back. I'm here for you. Call me if you need me. But it's all bad. These are things that's going to lead you incarcerated or in the grave. And because it becomes a bigger picture. You say, well, this kid is bad. No, the kid is not bad. This kid has abandonment issues. And so when I come across someone that say, I love you, bro, or love you, sis, or we can go get this money. Who doesn't want money? I want some money, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not, if it's quick and easy money, I want to do this thing. And so it's school on my mind.
Would some of that motivation to get the money also be to help the family that they're already responsible for?
So glad you brought this up. I have so many young children that come through and say, I got to get this money to take care of my family. And you're 14, I got to get this so I can help my mama get a new car. I got to help. And you're like, oh, I get it. That is not your responsibility, but I get it. And then you have parents who support it. So, it's like it's a toughie, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, how can I give this kid back their voice and their vision to say, you don't have to grow up so fast. You can take your time, and not letting their identity be attached to them catching whatever charge they caught in the juvenile justice system. But that's an issue too, because there's one of me and I can't root for everybody in every space. And so when they come across these adults that are in the juvenile justice system who, in my own opinion, are trained to treat them in a justice way. You're bad. You're
punitive.
Yeah. This is punishment. This is thing. And I'm like, I don't care what they charge you with. You are valued. You are somebody. We can overcome that. And then trying to throw the educational piece on there. Some of them are so far gone. They don't see that happening because I've been treated as if I don't matter. But I see you trying to give me this hope. And it just becomes, it's rough. It's hard, but it's doable.
I can imagine why it would be difficult to believe in something that you've never seen before.
Yeah. That is, yeah. And I'm not, we don't do the parent blame. We don't need to do the parent blame because some parents just don't know. They cannot give you.
Or they're doing the best they can.
And their best to them is their best. Everybody's life is different. And you got to go get the parents. Do I want to provide resources for these parents? Absolutely. But can I take a parent that has 4 or 5 children, one income, and say, hey, I got this resource for her? They're burnt out too.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They're burnt out too. And you talk about absenteeism. The parents burnt out. Then you got the young child that's burnt out, but also wants to belong to something. So after I get done feeding little sister, little brother, I want some freedom too. So if I get y'all safe in the house, I'm gonna go to the streets with my friends. I got friends now. And here come the stolen cars, the guns, and all these things. And the truth of it is, I want somebody to love me, to see me,
right?
To show me a different way. But the numbers are high with the students that are involved.
I can only imagine too that if you've been given this much responsibility at home, that you feel more grown. And when you get out onto the street and you get into these very adult situations, you feel like you can handle it because you are already responsible for so many things.
I'm a young man. My dad's not around, and you're telling me I'm the man of the house.
Right.
I'm the, oh, so what do men do? Men go out, provide, and they protect, and they make way, and it's like, but none of that says, go get your education.
Right. Exactly.
None of that says get your education.
So getting back to that education, so in your role as a mentor through Peckham, I mean, obviously you've had some success stories. What has worked for some young people?
So under my program is Mentor Flint. There's a team of us. We're like 14 and growing now. We literally become a safe space for our youth. And it started with those that are justice involved. And so my goal was to pair the youth that are justice involved, they're on probation or whatnot. We will pair them up with a mentor that would spend at least an hour a week with them. And what this mentor is doing besides creating a safe space, you're not mom, you're not dad, you're not PO, you're not none of this. You're rooting for this kid and you're doing everything in your power without getting burnt out yourself to say there's a better way. And I'm here for you. And I'm going to do my best to prune you to make you into the better version than you were yesterday. I know you won't change overnight. I know, and one of the sayings that I have on one of my shirts is planted seeds grow in different seasons. We want the kids to get it together right now, and they won't. It's not. As long as I'm taking a seed, if you got a seed in the ground, sometimes you got to repot it. Sometimes you got to do some things because they will continue to make mistakes. Mm-hmm. And I can't change your at-home environment. I can only change when I have you in front of me and what I can say. And so in that safe space, they built the relationship to where a youth can call and say, hey, this is going on at home and I feel like this. Okay, let me walk you through that. Right. Let me walk you through. Not that I'm coming to save you. I'm not showing up every time to save you to do these things because we get caught up in the family dynamic and all this stuff, but let me walk you through it. And our success stories has been that we've been able to walk students through adult situations. They've got to this point to where they want to disrespect mom and they want to walk out and they want to do all these things. And it's like, hey, take a breather. Let's try it a different way. And so we get the kids that we have the relationship equity with them and they reach out to us and they say, hey, I remember the last time we talked, you said do A, B, C. I'm not doing C. B sounds okay, but tell me about A again. Let's try that. They try it and they do it and say, okay, cool. And we're able to not only cheer for them, but reward them. I'm able to take them out. I'm able to call them. I'm able to go see and say, I appreciate you doing that because truth is you didn't know. And two, you didn't have to do it. I'm a volunteer. Right. I'm just here for you. But also wanting to change the mindset of parents.
Yes.
I can tell this kid that they're amazing all day. But if they come back in the house and you tell them they're the third on the street or remind them of their past, we're going back to step one. And so a part of that success story, we've had some parents that's had a mind shift to say, you know what? I don't know what to do with this young man. I don't know what to do with this young lady. Can you help me? And allowed us to come in and give wisdom and knowledge. We're not always right because you know your child more than we do.
Right. But it's like you talk about planting the seed, but you're also planting it with the parent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. It goes both ways because you want to make one beautiful family is what you want to. And we are always going to push education. And with education, you got career and college readiness, but we say awareness. Right. I want you aware. Because a lot of our kids, they see things on TV, real estate, they see flipping houses, they see all these things. And college may not be for them. And that's okay. It's fine. We got, got to go to college. It's like, no, we're going to talk about trades. We're going to talk about all these things. We're never pushing them away from that. And even so, if we can help them, that barrier of transportation, barrier of clothing, if we can help in any way, we do.
Well, and most of your students are high school age.
They are. Yeah.
Nice. So getting the high school diploma or a GED is the first order of business, really.
The one thing that is loud. At least get your high school diploma. At least get that one step out the way. And currently I'm at Beecher Higher Learning Academy where we have about 20 to 25 students and we're able to walk alongside them. And it's an alternative school. And we're able to walk alongside them with their different life struggles. But for the one thing that we're able to support them is get them across the stage. Hey, let me get you across the stage. And even when you have those moments where you feel like life is a little tough and you feel like you're doing those adult things, let us help you with them. And that I'm gonna switch a subject. I think we talk about mental health.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of our barriers. I'm not trained for mental, but I know it when I see it. We have a lot of children, a lot of our youth that they have some mental issues, and you can tell.
Well, some of them have had some pretty serious trauma.
Yes, yes, yes. And when they share it, you almost don't know what to do with it. You don't know what to do with it, and it's like, the kid has to go home. The kid has to go
You
home.
have to send them.
You have to send them back into that environment. And it's like, what can I do? What can I say? How can I help? And when it comes to the mental thing, because I work with students with IEPs and 504s and all the, it's like, where is the full support for them? Because some of my students are in classrooms with substitutes.
Yes. So there's that whole issue.
And then they bump heads with the sub who don't know them, who hasn't built a relationship. And guess what? I'm not coming to school. As long as you're subbing, I'm not coming to school. And as long as nobody hears me, I don't want to be in this space. And so just trying to encourage a kid to get into school, encourage a kid to see beyond whatever the course says. My intakes, I don't care what you did yesterday. I don't care what's on this paper that they sent to me. How are we moving forward? How are we going to get you to school? How are we going to get you that first job? How are we going to get you to being able to present yourself better than what they're saying? So the mental part of it can be challenging because I do have resources. Those resources you have to wait sometimes.
Yeah.
You have to wait sometimes. But the thing of using our resources, we're walking it through. I had a kid had shared that they were having flashbacks of their trauma.
Yes.
And they were having suicidal thoughts. And I was able to reach out to our local mental health organization around here. And they said, well, it'll be about 2 months.
Oh my
I said,
goodness.
2 months for a kid, I'm telling you. I was upset. I was angry. I'm like, what? Because I want to help this kid as much as I can, but still, you don't stop there. I don't stop. So continue to reach out. I did find a person from an organization here in Flint was able to come over and present to the whole class and then take this kid as a one-on-one case to talk about suicide prevention and getting this kid, getting the parent involved to seeing what resources we can have as far as from the mental standpoint. And that was 2 months ago. This kid is thriving in such a way. We're just showing up so beautiful, and it's like a release of like, thank you, Because sometimes as an adult, we think it's just all about, put that up, put this down, do that, do it. No.
Right.
I got to walk with you different than I walk with the other kid.
Right.
I got to get you a resource, different than that. And kids, they know your heart. They know your heart. And I think if we get more true hearts in the classroom, that can change the numbers of absenteeism.
Yes, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yes.
Yes, it's definitely another conversation. You in our original panel discussion about absenteeism, you brought Ladarius with, and I'm your favorite. You shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, right.
But he seems to be thriving.
So Ladarius is my first mentee. When I came on to pick him a year and a half ago, it was funny that his name is Ladarius and I'm Tadarius.
Yes.
And I never recall going in, I always recall going to the classroom and Ladarius like threw a ball across the room and I said, hey, get that ball. And he said, I'm not doing anything. And this is me putting I'm the new guy and what I've learned in life and why do I really want to work with these kids? And I said, well, could you please pick that up for me? And he says, oh, that was nice of you. He goes, pick the ball up and get him. And we've been on a journey together for a year and a half. And Ladarius' story is very unique because he's a kid that can turn a stop sign green. And so when he would do things, he would call me and tell me. Ladarius would call me and say, hey, Mr. T, because you always want to be in the know, I'm letting you know I've done A, B, C, D, and I'll be back at juvenile detention on Monday. I'll never forget, I was in the car with my wife and she said, why is he so calm? I said, because I'm calm with him. Normally, why did you do that? You shouldn't have. Mm-mm. The relationship equity and the respect is that he called me to let me know. And his case is different because Ladarius ended up going to rehab. We ended up taking him to rehab. His rehab was like 6 hours away. We drove him 3 hours away. This is a kid that continued to lean into you as long as you lean into him. Well aware that he cannot change his environment. Well aware that the people that truly love him is going to continue to, love on him. And I believe me keeping my word and not being another failing adult in his life, showing up when he did get locked up. He got locked up twice within that time. And every time I was back there in that detention center to see him. And it wasn't, why did you do what you do? What's next?
Yeah.
What's next? And so Ladarius he's working. He's attending a local school here. And hopefully be graduating real soon. It would be probably this year or next year. But he allowed me to be a safe space for him. But he knew his own potential. I just had to pour some more into it. And it's not to say that Ladarius won't do something tomorrow. But from a mentor standpoint for me, I'll still show up.
Well, when he was with us and talking, he talked about being on the football team.
Yes.
And getting involved in something that matters to you.
Yes.
And he also said something about when you're so close to the goal, and he was speaking of high school graduation, he said, why would I quit now? I'm almost there. And I thought that was very good forward thinking for a young person, because a lot of times they live so much in the moment.
Yes.
They can't project themselves into the future.
I don't know. I don't see it. I don't hear it.
Yes.
And if
I can't imagine it.
And even in those mess ups, if I'm going in as the adult and convicting you every time of you doing something bad instead of pushing you forward, you won't get to the language of say, why would I stop now? Because he's done some things that make you say, like, seriously? We just had this conversation. But he can to see him continue to get up and go at it again, continue to go. You got to continue to root for that child. Even if we're talking about getting to school.
Right.
If I get you there on Monday, I'm cheering for you on Monday. You missed Tuesday? Okay, we're going back Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's not like, here we go again. No, we're not going backpedal. We're going to move forward. And being okay with adjusting the way that you do things. Every child is different. Every single one is different. Adjusting the way that you do things and meeting them literally where they are. Because you talk about the trauma. When it comes up, it comes up. And they have their moments. Just like as adults, we have our moments. Meeting a kid where they are. Whether on probation or the valedictorian of school, meet a kid where they are. And it makes all the difference. It literally makes all the difference.
It's a heavy lift you do.
It is, but it's rewarding. And the reward is not the paycheck, not the amazing company, not the amazing coworkers. It's the kids that allow you to come in their space. That's the reward. When you get a kid that says, okay, I'm rocking with you, you cool, come on. And they see you and they speak to you and they glad to see you. Or you don't show up and they call you. You're like, okay, well, maybe, you got kids that give you pushback, but the reward is them allowing you in their space. I do recall just when we were growing up, you saying, you respect the adults and you see other adults, you respect them. You literally have to earn the right to be in these kids' space. It's different. It's a different time. And it does, it gets challenging. And it gets heavy and when your heart is in it, you get hurt.
No, yeah.
You get hurt. But it's worth it. It's worth every minute of it. And there's not a kid that I wouldn't mentor. There's not a kid that I wouldn't show love to. But I do my best to find balance and making sure their voice is louder than mine. Because a kid voice can reach more students than you because they're their own leaders in their own community.
Exactly. Oh, here and they listen to each other.
They do.
At a certain age. At that age, the peer group becomes more important than
they do.
The family.
They do, and that's how we're talking about voices and peers. We're talking about gang violence and all these little cliques and stuff that has gotten violent, that has gotten bad. And I always say these are just little people that need a hug. These are little people. Oh, the mass in the hood, they need a hug. Would you be the one to hug them today? Will you be the one to walk up there and ask them how they're doing? And it's like, no, because I'm scared of them. That's what the truth of it is. They're scared of you.
Mm-hmm.
They're scared of you, and they're scared. There's a different type of scare because they're carrying a gun and they're putting on a mask and they're putting on a hood, and these are they're innocent. They are innocent. Yeah, they committed these crimes, but if we go back to where they came from, how they weren't born criminals.
No.
They didn't come in the world knowing how to steal a car. They didn't, and I'm always encouraged, like, these are humans. These are humans. These are babies. These are human.
Yeah.
My
mom taught kindergarten for 35 years.
Yeah.
I have this interesting perspective. Sometimes when I see someone, maybe a person who's experiencing homelessness or someone on the street who's obviously in distress of some kind, I always think in my head, I wonder what they looked like in my mother's kindergarten class. Because I remember just those happy, bright little faces. And she taught in Flint forever. So, she was up at Cook School.
Yes.
At Cody and at Doyle Ryder. So, I mean, you see these happy little smiling faces at the age of 5. And
born sponges. They were born sponges, and whatever you allow to soak in their mind, their brain, and all these things, it'll show. It'll come out. And if you, as the sponge holder, don't find a different way to rinse it out, or to polish it, or to do
a better thing to pour into
something.
Right.
If you don't find something different, you will come up with this youth that are struggling in such ways to where we put a label on them and we lose them to the streets and they have no voice, and the numbers of the detention center go up. And now we're talking about it's crowded. How it's crowded? It's not here. I don't deal with adults in the jail, but when we're talking about youth, is there someone that can go walk alongside this kid and rehabilitate them?
Yes.
Yeah. And so, they're precious, and that's what my passion is when it comes to it. And always, but still just always pushing that first line and let's get you across the stage.
Well, we were talking earlier about a young person that you've been working with who it's not working out to go to one of the alternative high schools. And so, that's one of the big issues is finding a place to get them back into school. I can only imagine that if you are part of the juvenile justice system, they're not going to release you on a very convenient day when the new semester starts. So you're going to come out on a day when maybe you're weeks or months behind everyone else in your grade. And how big of an issue is that? I mean, are there alternative schools that can help these young people? Or
so this is what I love about Peckham, being a second chance, a youth resource. At one time, we had a place to where they would come to us, and we had partnered with the local school here to do credit recovery. They would come in and they would do the educational piece in the morning, and then the second part of it, they would do Peckham. And we'll do job resumes, OSHA certification, Serve Safe. We'll do community givebacks. We'll do talent tours. And then you have Mentor Flint, where your mentor will come in. We'll spend time with you. The challenge was when they left us, because you were only with us, at the end, you'll get a 6 to 8 week work experience. The challenge when they left us was getting them back into normal schools, because you had the barrier. You had the record. And a lot of schools didn't accept that. But then when you go to alternative schools, there's rules, regulations, and time, so on and so forth. And it will be either the alternative school is full already, or they don't start until the following year.
Oh.
And so you got a kid out here for these 3, 4, 5 months they were with Peckham and they had some structure. You get a kid that's in that waiting period, and they're waiting, and they're waiting. The mind is the devil's playground.
Right.
What can I do while I'm waiting? They're back into the norm because they don't have us every day. They're back into feeling like they don't have nothing to do, the boredom. And so in this particular kid, the boredom is, I'm going to order a 30-round drum. Wow, what are we doing? Why is that the thing? Because I don't have consistency.
Right.
And so there are some schools that can, and that will take them. And then there's some that you just have to be online. How can I do online when I barely have a place to stay?
Right.
When I barely have a place to stay, where homeless is possibly an option, where I'm living in a house of family and there's 10 of us. You think I'm going to sit at a laptop and do some work? And so that's where we're able to provide a space at times to where they can come over and do work. But the gap in between a kid coming out of juvenile detention and getting back in education has always been a thing. We have parents calling all the time. Well, this school says they can come, but they're going to come 2 days a week. This school says they can't come at all. Well, this school still has the record from, it's all these barriers, all these things that plays a major part in absenteeism. Because do schools believe in second chances? I'm guessing not, because you once you've done that, it's on your record,
Right.
And every case is different. I'm not, some kids, it goes beyond just behavior. It's mental, it's trauma. It's you need some one-on-one. You need to be at home on a laptop if you can. But there's some that if you really did a deep dive and you really talk to this child, you will rethink that disciplinary action. How can you still let them thrive with making this bad decision? And that's not always an option for a lot. That's, not an option. And that's another thing we love about Peckham, having that second chance to have my voice be heard again, and you show me something different than rather running off of my record.
Right. Yeah. It's a complicated issue.
It is. It's very complicated, but it's doable with enough like-minded people that could come to the table and create a space, create rules and regulations that do give those that deserve it a second chance. And I get we got to face consequences, but when you're talking about the juvenile detention center, that is a consequence. But what's being taught in the juvenile detention center, I've always had, this is my own personal opinion about even taking a kid and putting them in a detention center. You can teach life skills. You can make them feel as if, hey, you show this detention? I feel like these people are empowering me. But we all know that ain't the rules of how that goes. But just think of if we did. What if we took these youth and gave them mental health resources inside of here and gave them life skills and taught them about hope and how they can overcome, and that your story is not over.
And there's so many programs in prisons now for training leader dogs.
Yes.
Growing, cooking, growing vegetables.
So that was the mindset of Peckham, is that they get out of there, they come up front to us, we let them the freedom to thrive, right? And I would, what if we did that? And because there's programs in the jail, they learn about financial literacy.
Yeah.
I know that because my pastor teaches it. So why can't we, do the same thing for our young babies?
Yeah.
And if we do, it's because you can't just start at the dot, you got to go back.
Right.
And that's why that's another thing that just, I believe is an amazing idea. You got them. You got the kid, now what? Okay, we lock them in a cell and their mind is going elsewhere. And then you
and
send
they're
them
meeting
back.
a lot of other people who may or may not be great influences.
Same old, right? And then you send them back out and wonder why they're coming right back in.
Right.
Nothing changes. You just lock me up. You put me on punishment for a month, 2 months, however long. But what did you teach me while I was in there? What did I get from that? Did you water me?
Yeah.
Or did you dim my light?
You dimmed my light, and I learned how to endure.
And that's why I'm going to the street and I'm angry and I'm upset and my wall is up. And so just, it all plays a part when it comes to trying to give our kids education, give them the support needed in all areas, and letting them recover from their mistakes. Because once you do catch a charge, you feel like, that's my label. You gave me a label.
Yeah.
I'm a thief. I'm a scammer. What do I look like sitting in the classroom then?
Yeah.
Well, I don't belong there. And so now I'm going back to what I know. And so being able to provide a space for them, and so that these absentee numbers could change from the, juvenile detention center, juvenile justice system side of things. It's unique, but every kid they deserve to thrive. Every kid, every kid, it don't matter the story, the charge, the trauma, or the diagnosis, they still deserve to thrive.
How do young people get connected with Peckham?
So with Peckham, with Mentor Flint, we are located on Ballinger Highway, 1309 North Ballinger Highway, or they can go to our website, Peckham. They have a way of doing inquiries. I'm in the community a lot. Our Mentor Flint program is growing. The plan is to start going into middle school. When I first came on, it was high school age kids, just taking a step back and seeing how we can support them before they get to kind of making these decisions. And so things are growing, but you can contact us through our website, or you can even reach out to me. I'm on Facebook, Tadarius Lowe. So you will find me, but we're always in the community. We're always looking to partner to build relationships, to be a support for our youth, even our young adults. We have programs for 18 to 24-year-olds as well. That's been in the juvenile justice system. We are literally a second chance, no barrier organization.
Well, you talked about planting seeds, and you've also said that you've only been with Peckham a year and a half. So it will be interesting in the next 5 or 6 years to see where some of your seeds bloom.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I always crack the joke myself. Maybe one day when I'm on my yacht, 30 years from now, I'll look up and I'll see Ladarius, or I'll see, any of my other students, and I'll say, I'll be okay with knowing that my planted seed has grown. Yeah, definitely. Definitely, most definitely.
Well, I want to thank Tadarius Lowe for being part of this incredibly important conversation about school absenteeism and the impacts of the juvenile justice system on student success. You have been listening to THRIVEcast, the podcast program of the Flint Center for Educational Excellence.